this best of 5 will begin their journey to guarantee a spot in the grand final.
It's like, as we start off here with Buriram United going in with a Senna ban. This is a very standard ban coming from many other teams as well. You don't want to enable this pick true because you can go in for the fasting Senna style, or you can still put it in support, which is still going to give so much more sustainability. As we go down the list, there's a heavy focus onto the jungle list as well. They're just trying to negate the pull coming in from Xiaoqi.
Man, and I'm very much happy seeing that Varus ban. You do not want someone poking from the back lines. With Camille logged in, Boom Esports answered that with the Renekton and a Gragas, most likely going over to Gov.
Yeah, this is looking great. Boom Esports have played a fantastic Gragas as well, coming with explosive cast to set things up. And it can also defuse a Hextech ultimate if done right with the timing. So Noel or Shiba going on the Camille is still going to be a very good flex. Alongside with the Ziggs, who can still go into the bottom lane. Buriram United haven't shown the full card when you have the Twisted Fate here being the real card dealer for Boom Esports.
I was about to highlight that the Baby Cage combo, Hextech Ultimatum plus the Mega Inferno Bomb will be very much useful, but Boom Esports, they pulled out Twisted Fate and they also got their hands on J4. So the initiate potential here is you have the Cataclysm and the Cask. So a lot of damage for both teams.
Yeah, I'm looking at the whole Buriram United roster here just smiling, and I think they might just be laughing about, you're never gonna get your cinch anyways, but you know what? Let's play something that requires less of a brain power here. Since Xiao is just spears, and spears, just go right in, pick somebody off, and I think it can definitely start up any sort of good fight for Buriram United's favor. And yet again, if anything goes wrong, go in for the crescent sweep, he's just swept the ball away. Is this a first-time Sona that we're seeing here for Boom Esports?
It seems like it. I mean, I was staring at it for the last few seconds. Is he gonna lock it in? Apparently he did. First singer and instrumentalist rather for the SCA champs. What are your thoughts about this contra?
Well, I crossed my arms and it's starting to figure, is Sona actually better than a Seraphine pick that's actually left available? Because both kind of essentially do the same thing, with one having the longer range on that Encore, but I guess a more frequent usage of pokes as well as heals in the lane will do them good as well.
It's got so many flexes. There are so many possibilities with this composition coming out of Boom Esports. Cross your arms. It makes you feel maybe a little bit smarter. But I tell you, some very smart people are casting teams. Let's take it away, guys.
Thanks a bunch, Skimmy. Looking forward to how this game is gonna play out. We're looking back at Bracket A, and they have tossed every expectation out the window. I don't even know what to look forward to anymore. TJ, I know off camera I've been slowly losing your respect, but I feel like you've had a couple of ideas how this one's gonna play out.
I feel so smart right now. Thank you for the tip, Skimmy. Yeah, I do have a couple of ideas, because the way that early game, once we saw the rest of that draft finish, once that Sona came in, is really interesting to me. You have Sona in the late game as this kind of game-ending carry threat for Boom, and during the mid-game, they have so much CC.
We also have a quick look at the final picks for both these teams, where we're gonna end up with this game. And a couple questions have to be answered here, TJ. Boom Esports, they took that game off of Divine at the start. And moving into this one, it's going to be quite curious if they're gonna be able to keep this one up.
Over on the Buriram side, I think you have to pay attention to the early game, especially in this matchup.
So let's see what we have from both these teams as Buriram United go up against Boom Esports in our second match of the day. It's another best of 5. A lot of eyes on how Boom Esports will play this one out.
Boom, over on the right-hand side of your screen, are going to be relying on those CC chains. Look for the Renekton to follow up the gold card. Look at the J4 Cataclysm to follow up the gold card. Look at basically every stun on this team to follow up the gold card. Once you get into the mid-late game, it's really hard to avoid those entry picks, because you're going to have Rapid Fire Cannon increasing the range of Fly Arthur's stuns. So if Boom can get there, they have a really devastating teamfight comp because of the amount of follow-up behind that.
Yeah, look at how interactive that is. Gold card, after I think we've seen 2 so far. Fly Arthur, he's stacking up the gold cards. He's getting ready for that. He's practicing, warming up to make sure he has that crowd control of the man. I'm also pretty curious to see how else we're gonna see the Baron lane kind of play out. When we heard the interview from BRU, definitely mentioned Noel is one of the key players to watch out for, as well as another match with Invade, with What the Jest. So that one's coming up later. For now, Camille up against Renekton, and I was talking a little bit to Omo about this. Camille's a champion you don't really want to leave open, but they've got Renekton going up against it.
Yeah, Renekton is pretty safe in the Camille as picks go, but you do have to worry about the Camille in mid-game teamfights especially, because what the Hextech Ultimatum becomes is a really powerful utility ability. It's essentially a scarier version of Exhaust. Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, Noel looks like he's a scarier version of whatever Renekton brings to the table here.
Camille is what you're describing there, Grandin.
It's the nightmare in his dreams, and oh my goodness, Ashton, he's already gonna force them out. They're looking for a little bit of a trade here in the jungle. They're going deep in. The blast cone will save them, and BRU digitalizes onto the blue buff, forces the flash away from the Soda. Owens, he has to get away, but the heal won't save him. It's first blood for BRU.
If you're running the Soda, you're banking on the late game. There's no excuse for trying to contest that early. There's no way that breaks your way. So a little bit of a mistake there from Boom as they step up into that fight kind of awkwardly.
And how critical is this, TJ? Because you talk so much about Boom having to survive to a point where they have that on-demand crowd control to pair with the gold card. If they're losing the bot side early on and helping Kingdom 1 scale up faster, is this going to make things worse? Oh my goodness, this might make things worse. Cataclysm gets a lockdown first, but the Destiny's going to come through. They actually take down one right away. Fly Arthur comes back in with the gold card. Well, it's too little too late.
Yeah, kind of crazy again from Boom because Owens doesn't even have Crescendo yet. Gov doesn't even have the explosive cast yet. That lane becomes so scary once they have those two abilities up. It's insane that Xiaoqi is trying to gank that earlier. Xiaoqi should be waiting until all of that CC is up. You're Jarvan, you can spend this early game just kind of farming, living your best life, fishing at your villa house by the lake. You don't need to be rushing into a bottom lane fight, especially versus a Kai'Sa Braum, a duo that's exceptionally strong during the early game. Normally we talk about Kai'Sa being really powerful during the early game. That's because each of her auto attacks does two things. First of all, it obviously does damage. Second of all, it procs a mark due to her passive. So if she gets 6 consecutive auto attacks, which is very easy to do in the early game, she gets extra damage. You time that as well with a Braum who's also rewarding those auto attacks. It's just really scary to lane against, to fight early. So I don't know why you're forcing that when your own lane hasn't hit their power spot.
Yeah, I think you've taken a good chunk out of Skimmy's book there. TJ must have had your arms crossed because that was a really smart point that you made. Except though, Boom Esports will take the tempo in the top side and the Baron lane, send Noel back first, but instead they get some pressure around the Dragon, and we're looking at an early skirmish here by the river.
Yeah, this is scary for Boom. Again, they don't win these early game exchanges. You have hit level 5, so they need to just combo these ults really well.
Yeah, but they're looking to force it either way. Glacial Fisher comes through. Zig's ultimate's massive. The cleansing over to the backline. They're looking to take down the TF first. Fly Arthur's gone, and so are Owens. When becomes lightning, a little bit more damage on the CLT with the Ink Knight taking down. And Camille, he joins back into the fight. He takes down more. 4 dead on the side of Boom Esports.
And I haven't even finished my sentence by the time you've seen 2 all the Crescendo and the explosive cask eaten up by supporter shield. That may be the most impactful Braum shield we're going to see this tournament, as it ate up all of the CC at the critical first fight of the game. There was no initiation. The big fight tools were down. Take a look at this again. Wow.
Not a good window at all here, DJ.
And what do you do at this point? You just have to run away as best you can. Boom can't get their key carries out. I said it was going to be late game. I said Boom needed to wait for the hyper late game to win this. That kind of late game window has just gotten later and later.
Yeah, extremely impatient, but this might help them a little bit. Redemption is going to give a little bit more life to support her, but still a double kill for Tubbs in the top side.
Okay, so a taste of what this Twisted Fate should enable, and they're going to use that to try and challenge for this Rift Herald.
Definitely trying to put the pressure on. Shiba secures it at the very least. Some safety from Archony, but that's about it there.
Rift Herald does end up going over to Buriram, and Archony is going to get a free farm in the middle of the map as well, taking one of the first plates of the game. So the gold lead swings away from Boom. It's pretty devastating at this point.
And curious to see double Rod of Ages for Boom Esports. Both Fly Arthur and Gov making their way to start off their build path. This is going to be a pretty interesting start. Boom Esports, I feel like gonna lack a little bit of damage moving into some of these mid-game fights, but I'm not sure if they even want to take these anymore.
Yeah, I think you can. If you find the initiation, it's all about those ultimate cooldowns. Okay. I'm struggling because Gov did just get a random kill onto Kinemon, and I don't know how much gold he got from that. But I think he may be farming. I think they may be passing at least some of the gold in the bottom lane over to Gov's Gragas, as opposed to Owens on the Sona.
Yep. So it could be trying to funnel into the Gragas. And we've seen Gov playing that angle before. Yeah, let's take a look back at this fight again.
Wow. Just a really good use of the explosive cask flash to chase. And it earns Boom much needed leeway as the late game carry from Buriram is that Kai'Sa. If they can go ahead and threaten her early, get their own teamfight threats online, it's very impactful. They have both these key ultimates up as the skirmish develops.
Well, key ultimates available, but I'm not sure if the fight on the
Rom
turret is
shield
what they're
spent.
looking for. Once again, they get the catch on the Kinemon. Looks like a repeat of that replay, DJ. Cataclysm just to lock in for the kill, and they secure it. Zelti picks it up.
And Gov is just walking his team to victory, tossing his team to victory. Here we go with a gold card.
Fight extends to the mid side. Tuff's still alive after all that. Concussive blows won't be able to do too much to the Renekton. He finally goes down, but he bought enough time for Boom Esports to come online. They're flashing forward, looking to take them down. The wild cards connects on the two more dead, and picked up for Boom Esports.
And look at how much the Sona damage boost does in those fights. As Fly Arthur all of a sudden is doing way more damage than he should at this gold spike at just a Rod of Ages. Boom Esports are running a really scary team composition, and through a series of very carefully chosen fights, they've repaired the damage that was done to them during the early game. This is anyone's game.
I'm quite curious to see as well. Redemption completed for the Braum, so a little bit less tanky, but gives them a bit more sustain. I think that Buriram United are gonna look to go for slightly longer exchanges here, TJ.
I like to go for Redemption on the Braum as well because it's a utility pick. It can give you a little bit of extra vision. It can heal up your key carries. It's flexible. If you're not worried about taking sustained damage, as I don't think he is, it's a decent choice.
Buriram United will find the first turret in the mid lane. That's the power of the Zig Satchel combo. Get the Satchel off with the Rift Herald, secures the turret. That's a decent amount of gold back, but it just about evens things up. And we're looking at a much closer game than we may have initially expected. Boom Esports, after their win against Divine, people weren't quite sure what to expect. Divine, post-game, did mention they had a couple issues going into that series. So Boom Esports, we're a little bit curious of how this will play out, but holding their own against BRU here.
Yeah, a lot of people, in fact, weighting this matchup against them quite heavily. Our entire analyst desk predicting Buriram to come up on top. But Boom are certainly making a case here. Now, as we head into the mid-game, what you've just seen result in that turret take-up on the top side is going to become a problem for Boom. They have a team-fight-heavy composition. They are really good when they can chain those stuns together, and they have a couple individual units that can find value, mostly revolving around that Renekton. But if they're not able to get those 5v5s and they're forced to play on a split map, it's really scary.
Yeah, Renekton did manage to find some value by taking down Shiba, but a nice trade back by Noel. Moves over to the side lane. Exos comes through with the gold card. That's the on-demand crowd control. They managed to find Archony on the top side, but not with enough damage to follow through. Cataclysm comes in as they get the hook shot for the knock-up. But a stun onto Zelti, but he has the Gargoyle Stoneplay. He's still alive. And finally, they take him down with the tactical sweep, but it was so close there.
Opting into a 1v2, down bottom, there's the crescendo.
Stalls off BRU and supporting Kinemon. We want to put some pressure down bot side. They have a strong dual lane matchup, but won't be able to get the kills here.
And with that challenge up close, it's very hard for Boom to survive this. It's going to keep going here. Shiba.
They've gone for the full-on dive. They decided this is enough. They waited long enough. They're moving on the Gov too. Takes down a second, but Tussa joined into the fight now. Destiny will come through, and they're looking to pick off a couple more stragglers. Support are very low, so just going to back away, but Noel's going to be there to play bodyguard, make sure this team's safe.
So, really interesting focus by Buriram. They're targeting Gov and Owens as kind of late-game carry threats, which they're right to do. Sona, in particular, is very scary once you get to the late game. And Boom also make a mistake simultaneous to that very clever targeting from Buriram. You see Zhao kind of jump into a 1v2 for, I don't know, no describable reason. Jarvan doesn't have a lot of damage, so it's not a fight that he's going to win any day, even though they are low. And it clearly wasn't common to Fly Arthur, who didn't follow up on the engage.
I can see the ambition there, but Gov, he's just been massive with these casts. Finding catches on Kinemon and Archony, panning out very well for his team.
Gov does more work with the explosive cask than some supports do on like traditional engage characters. He does more work with that explosive cask than some Leonas do.
Yeah, he feels like he's playing Blitzcrank. He feels like he has all the upsides of a Blitzcrank with none of the downsides.
It's crazy. And he's doing so much damage as well because they're playing Owens kind of as the support. Gov is going to be really hurting with these explosive casks.
So getting some additional damage on this Greg looks like things are panning well for Boom Esports and kind of defying expectation. Moving up
in the top side, Fly Arthur is threatened as Buriram rotate up towards him.
Yeah, trying to contest towards the jungle now. Both sides really playing at have a stalemate here, TJ.
A stalemate enforced around this Drake. Neither team wants to take a risk right now. Neither team wants to be the ones to lose 2-3 players. Because if you do, you won't be able to fight for this Ocean Drake that is coming up in just about 40 seconds. So here's the play to punish it.
They start off eventually once again. It's back-to-back catches onto the Ziggs. Gokhan won't be able to find it, and over by the side, the Ignite's sticking him down low. Celti's the first to fall, and they follow through with Shiba coming in for the double. They're moving on to Tufts now. The Dominus won't save him. He goes golden to try and buy time with the Glacial Fissure building space between Boom Esports. They watch as the Renekton falls as a triple for Shiba comes through.
And Noel even lives on 1 HP. It's a tragedy. Boom Esports go for an aggressive play through Fly Arthur's TP, but they don't bring their damage. They need to fight as 5 without Owens' damage amplification. This roster just does not do enough damage to take a 5v5, and you see that fall apart there in the 3v3. It'll give Buriram the lease on life to start this Baron.
They're doing the best they can, though. Teleport coming in, but it's a little bit too late. Double teleport committed to this fight, so Gov, he's still in the pursuit. He's looking at his chase. Huge voice slam onto 2, but they knock them back. The Crescent Guard gives them the space to get away. Then the turret and BRU will escape with their lives.
Huge engage again from Gov, who's playing his heart out, but it's not enough to get Boom back into a scenario where they've already lost the Baron, and all of the Barons picked up by Buriram are able to survive it. Meaning that we're going to head now into a very dangerous couple of minutes as Buriram push forward with the Baron. That should ensure that they get this Drake, which is just going to snowball an advantage over to Buriram before Boom have finished coming online. You see the beginnings of them coming online right now. As Gov gets a Rabadons, he's going to be very scary. I think with one more item from Owens, he's going to be able to finally contest as the full damage amp that late game Sona can provide. But they're not there yet. Art isn't complete on Fly Arthur, and Boom don't have everything they want to end this game to be able to contest late game team fights.
I mean, Gov's your main man. He's still trying to hold them together. But Boom Esports, they're being shoved back. I'm not sure if they're going to ever hit that window, TJ. The Sona pick, like you mentioned, it helps them so much when they get to that point where they have the power to fight these and take these trades. But it feels like, as well, Braum has been doing a great job with the Unbreakable to slow a lot of the engage coming through. As Celti, I say that Warlock for the engage to jump back onto the Ziggs, finds a decent amount of crowd control, but they're falling apart. Over to the back, Shiba is making a mess of the base. He flashes away from the Nexus, and they shred it down, taking down Boom Esports. They're onto the Nexus, looking to grab game 1, just 15 minutes in. Quadra kill coming through as well.
They
stick to the usual still, and Boom Esports just got to refine on some of all these style of play that they want to go for. And now that they are on the blue side, I'm definitely a bit more of a change of their whole approach, and they've identified you don't want to go in for any sort of leeway for Kindle to be so oppressive on Varus. And once more, lo and behold, same sort of bans, but this time around they are banning off the Camille.
And I guess Boom still has a high respect for this, since we won't be seeing that champion in game number 2 still. And no more fasting Senna, apparently. Renekton is open and up for grabs, though Boom Esports would gladly have their hands on that.
You know, this time around, that also gives Buriram United a chance to pick that Twisted Fate. So, who's going to be a lot scarier when it comes down to cross-map plays once more? Kaisa, really a comfort pick for Kinemon. We've seen this happen in the C Icon Series Thailand for a couple of times where a lot of other Thai teams also do contest with a Kaisa. So when you pair that with a Braum, it's easily going to be proccing all of that passive that's going to be able to stack that stun now. So that gives them a little bit more room to wiggle with. While Boom goes in for that Alistar. Now, Yuko, what do you feel about this?
Okay, I was about to say that the Kaisa and Braum combo is really good. We've known that ever since the World or Wild Rift began, again because of the concussive blows. But I actually like the Alistar pick. You know, it has a lot of setup for Boom Esports. At the same time, if ever your ADC, which could be Corki, gets stunned, you can just headbutt Kaisa or Braum.
Yeah, that's definitely a very fair point. So long as even if she dives in with a killer instinct, you could immediately go in for that pulverize, knock up in the middle of the air. And Buriram United, I feel like they're getting a very standard take, but still having a lot of burst potential. So Boom Esports having a little bit more mobility to make a little bit more happen heading into the mid game onwards. Corki definitely needs a little bit more time to scale, but what are they going to pair that up with?
Corki. Well, I was about to say J4, but looks like Buriram, they're one step ahead, already locking in with that jungler. I was really waiting for Boom Esports to pick up Ziggs just so I can say, and then they went boom. Whenever the the Mega Inferno bomb will be thrown out, but apparently still going over to Buriram. There is still Xin Zhao though, if ever Boom Esports want to pick up this champion, but a Yasuo finding his way into Boom's draft.
Now with the Yasuo coming right in, I believe that this is still a very flexible composition, but most likely than not, he will ideally want fly Arthur on that Yasuo so that you can block any of all these grenades that are being tossed by the Ziggs, while you could also place it perfectly to cancel out Mega Infernal Bomb. That's something that you can actually take good note of, but are we seeing a first time
Lock it in
of that Evelyn? I'm excited for this. They did lock that in, Yuko.
Evelyn has very quick clear, so Shao Ki will be able to just roam around the map. Plus the charms, it's gonna be a problem for possibly Kinemon or even Archini. Also, you touch up on Fly Arthur's Yasuo if ever that will be in the mid lane. He has a 66.7% win rate on this Yasuo. Let's see, will it be better after this game, or will we see it go a little bit down?
Well, we definitely do have some break brawl going up the Baron lane here, and we are seeing the debut of a Pantheon. Now you can either put the Jarvan or the Pantheon on that Baron lane and still have a little bit more room in the jungle. Either or still works fine. I think that Buriram United definitely coming in strong with a little bit more pressure with the existence of this Pantheon that can just man drop into team fights.
Man, with the draft already set, I really cannot wait to see if will we see a 1-1 or will it be a 2-0.
I'm curious here, guys, because it almost feels like to me that Twisted Fate is overrated, that Galio is outdated, and now Pantheon is my new global best friend, because he's going to be looking to try and man job everywhere and say you can ban it or you can't, because I'm looking at this draft. The Galio and Twisted Fate are available, but they've still gone for the Pantheon. What on earth is happening? Have they gone mental, Boom? Well, Boom Esports are going to be up against the Ziggs, the master of all things, Boom. So let's throw it back to our casting team and welcome back Granton and TJ.
Thanks so much, Kimmy. We're looking forward to see how this one turns out, to see exactly how the Pantheon plays. I know you're a little bit surprised about that. We're going to get hyped. We're going to get excited to see this game and hopefully make TJ shout loud enough to wake up his cat.
Sorry, I was catching what was sent my way by Contra there. He just threw it across the little space arena. Yeah, no, this is actually a really fun draft. Normally we break games down into early game, late game. When is your activation? And there's a little bit of that here. Boom obviously want to wait for that Corki to come online. No such problems over on Buriram, as they do have the early game potential of that Braum Kaisa lane. But I think the more interesting division for this game is in 5v5s versus skirmishes. Skirmishes defining 2v2s, 3v3s, the smaller fights that break out on the map. I think Buriram win those because they have the casual comp. They have this Braum Kaisa unit. They have this Ziggs Jarvan unit that combos very well. But if you start setting up for the 5v5, Boom have a ton of backline damage that can dump over the top. This Alistair Renekton functions as a really good front line. And of course, that sets up for Fly Arthur on the combos. They fight really, really well front to back with the Corki doing the majority of the damage, with the Evelyn sneaking around the side. If they can't engineer those 5v5s though, I don't think they beat Buriram, and Buriram are going to have the tools to keep them in 3v3, especially with, as the Desp is talking about, that global presence from Pantheon.
Very crafted fights that Boom Esports have to look towards as they want to take on BRU as we move into our second match in the second series as well. It's going to be Boom Esports versus Buriram United.
Here we go. I was talking about controlling the 3v3, the skirmishes on the map. I think the Pantheon is going to be key to that, but also watch the rotations of Boom, because if they play this right, they're never going to have to fight a situation that Buriram can turn into a man advantage 2v3 or 3v4. And that's the key thing they need to avoid, especially during the early game. Once Boom get past, I would say, the 10-minute mark, once we get past the second item, this Yasuo is going to start doing a ton of damage, this Evelyn's going to start doing a ton of damage, and the Corki is going to start doing a ton of damage. And at that point, it's actually really hard for Buriram with their composition to fight front to back to win a full-on team fight.
Well, it does seem like Buriram will find the initial engage to jump on Fly Arthur and punish this Yasuo pickup. So, DJ, just as you're starting to sing accolades for this Yasuo, talking about this 10-minute mark, Buriram want to put a stop to that just 1 minute into the game.
Yeah, and that's the right call. Buriram, their strengths lie in exactly that sort of thing. They have really good pieces, individual skirmishes and 2v2s. They have a lot of plug-and-play abilities and characters that can work with any combination of other abilities on this team. So whenever there's just a couple odd people in the mid lane fighting a 2v2, couple odd people positioning around the jungle fighting a 3v3, expect Buriram to come out on top.
We've been seeing quite a couple of interesting pickups from Celtic. He's been one of the players that has probably one of the highest unique champion pick rate. As we see once again, they're looking to catch off Fly Arthur to find good amount of damage on him.
Wow.
Does he have the win wall? I don't quite see it come through yet. He has to burn the flash as well. But the spear comes through either way. A second for BRU.
And it's the same engagement twice. Fly Arthur just really having to walk forward to manage the wave, having to step up into the minion wave, because of course he's playing Yasuo, who's a short little sword. And every time he does that, Archeni throws his satchel charge behind him, knocks him away from the minion wave, too far forward to properly retreat. And here comes Shiba out of the jungle with a stun.
Oh, yeah,
it happens twice in a row, and it costs Boom a lot of their mid-game potential.
Now you're playing a different spot, TJ. Fly Arthur is trying to play fencing. Shiba's trying to go for the javelin toss. It's not quite a fair. It's not quite a fair trade. So it's going to cost him a little bit here. And Celtic has quite a diverse champion pool. I kind of want to talk a little bit about this. The fact that we've seen him playing really a jungle and now transitioning to the Evelyn and how this one's going to pan out for this team. Well, it's just interesting. Though Noel finally gets punished. They get to take him down. Dove with a nice move top.
Yeah, Govern the top lane gets caught out there. Able to kind of pivot in right as Tops is about to die. And that's actually really good for the team. I'll talk about your points about Shiba, or sorry, Zhangxi in a moment, because I think that's very important. But first I want to talk about the way Gov just moved across the map.
All right.
Because Tufts doesn't manage to win the early lane. He's really far behind. He's getting bullied by the Jarvan. But you have Corki down bottom, who is decent wave clear. So Gov finds a moment where the wave is crashing and rotates all the way up top, saves the day up there, perfectly timed, then gets back down bottom with no loss to his AD carry.
Well, thanks for dropping us a little bit of insight there, TJ. And it looked like Supporter was trying to get a little bit of pressure back for himself as well. Went towards the mid side, and Shiba was there as well. Maybe trying to get a kill on the Fly Arthur, but they spot that one out quickly. And so we're back towards talking about these jungle pickups. As Celtic, he's going to start up this dragon.
Well, Shang-Chi playing the Evelyn is a little bit of an off-meta pick. We haven't seen so many of them recently. Oh, and we're going to get a fight.
Well, Flyata, he's committed to this fight. The Glacial Fissure comes through, and Windwall's actually gonna block a decent amount of damage. But here we go, Shiba joins in. They jump right back onto the Yasuo, once again punished. Set back to place, playing with a gray screen, and they move on to the Dragon. Buriram United say thank you very much.
And again, we're waiting for things to come online for Boom. Fly Arthur doesn't have damage yet, especially after his early laning. So Shiba just looks at that and says, well, I'm not at the dragon fight, but granted, I could be. If I press this ability, this is a man advantage fight for us, a 4v3,
Sure.
because they're split off. Tough, don't do this.
Well, he really does want to look for something here. He's flashing forward, in fact, with the concussive blows, plus the knockout confirmed the kill. It's a killing spree, as they're now moving back in onto the red pearl, but Gov's looking low. Flyata, he's finally come online. He has the damage that they're looking for, but unfortunately, the kite back from the well is keeping them safe. Southsea finds a double through the midst of that chaos, but the Cathian Rain trades back, and BRU still come up ahead.
2 for 3. It's a narrow win for Boom in terms of man advantage, but I agree Buriram do come out ahead because they take the Rift Herald, which is going to mean that they get an extra turret, a decent chunk of gold on top of their already impressive gold lead. I wasn't a huge fan of that fight, but because of the full committal, we get a tease of what I was so excited for with this composition, which is the 5-on-5 potential. When everyone is here for Boom, they're able to combo really well in terms of what their composition wants to do. The chaos created in the front line by the melees means that it's very easy for an Evelyn to just dance through, for a Corki to just dance through that wave after wave of CC and find value.
Well, we're also looking to see how they find value as they take down Flyata once again here, perhaps. Gov joins in, knocks him back. Noel stuck on the turret. He doesn't have anywhere to go. And Shiba, he's back in the midst of things. Trades back on for one. Won't be able to quite find the second. Almost takes down Owens.
Gov playing incredibly well again. Comes in, perfect timing on the rotate. Manages to turn the trade advantage for Boom. And it's going to get better for them as they've called out Archini here.
Oh boy, they really have. And just outside of his turret, he's just barely away from his safe house. Does manage to get the honey through in time. The ignite comes through from Gov. They're looking for this dive. Beautiful flash away, but the damage won't be enough. But with the barrier, he finds a double!
Archini just manages to turn the 1v2 using the turret and perfectly timing his cooldowns. Saving the barrier, saving the honey fruit for when they're most needed, saving the flash for when he's about to get knocked out from behind the turret. A beautiful 1v2, a beautiful understanding of what his opponents are going to do, and it's going to reward Buriram not only with the advantage in this lane, but with their first turret without even needing to use the Rift Herald. They also, during this time, broke the top turret, so it's 2 tier 1s passed over.
Honestly, we've been talking about how Gov has been the main man to watch for Boom Esports, and he set up the play pretty well there. They went for the dive, but Archini had such an incredible sequence to really dodge away from that. And we've also been Shiba coming really far online this game. It's been difficult for them to deal with. Half of their Grand Skyfall is to get into the map. The other half is to make Skimmy a happy man. Skimmy is talking a lot about this, and we're starting to see this Pantheon pay off so well as the engage comes through from BRU. They're looking to try and take down Owens right away, but over the fight, Gov has tried to buy space and time for the rest of his team. Flyata jumps in with the last breath. They're moving on to Kingdom on with the Cathian Rain taking him down. There isn't enough time in the world to survive the onslaught from Buriram United, who are chasing after a third, a fourth, and they're looking to take them all down.
Excellent split of the fight, instantly knocks Owens down to 1 HP. He's just a non-factor in that team fight. It operates essentially as a 5v4, which is an obvious advantage to Buriram. They still fall under threat. It's still a little bit dangerous, but because the majority damage is sat on this Corki, who just doesn't get to play that team fight, Buriram take a very clean win, and they're going to get resets. This fight for the Drake, which they're advantaged in, which Buriram are advantaged in, they very well decide the game.
It's been pretty impressive how well they've been able to shut down Flyata, who's shown us on multiple occasions what happens as it does seem like BRU start to set up around this dragon. Just 9 minutes in the game, gold lead building up. Gov, he's going into BRU, trying to find the engagement for his team, but he's blown up so quickly, and Tough soon to follow right after. Fly Arthur jumps over the wall, but right on his tail, it's Supporter who has his number. They take down another by the side, and once again, BRU collect everything here.
And once again, Owens has no part in that fight, spending the package defensively, jetting away from the fight, meaning that the Corki finds absolutely zero damage, and Buriram, despite their hold to it, don't have anyone to follow up the initial engage from Fly Arthur and Gov.
Show this guy some respect. Boom Esports haven't been able to execute their composition at all. Gov has been making some nice moves, but hasn't been enough. BRU so quick to the rotation, bringing in this Pantheon. You know, we have to wonder. I think we had a little discussion as well with Omo TJ about this. But it looks like
Playing Hero catches out Gov.
Jump onto the Alistar first. They're going to take him down, but the Alistar ulti keeping him pretty safe, pretty tanked up for now. Don't see he's going to get knocked back over by the side end. They're just looking to back away here, perhaps.
Anytime you have to spend the ult like that, it feels bad. Spending it just as an escape tool. And you can see just what dire straits Boom are in by how little that ult does. Obviously, it's an executed scales based on missing HP, but it should be doing more than that.
Hoping to see the Evelyn come online. We've seen it come and been played a little bit in the WCK, I believe, TJ. It was an interesting pickup. Not quite able to find the returns here this game, though.
It works if you can get snowballing, but Zhao is so far behind. Shiba is so far behind where you need to be, having just completed Rabadon, not having the boots. They're basically only going to be useful as a cleanup crew.
Here we go, nice flash away for Kinemon to survive and stay alive for as long as he can. Try to buy some time with the rest of his team. They're back in it, they're joining into the fight, and Gov looking to flash away to get back to safety, but they already picked up Tufts.
And you can't take these skirmishing fights. You cannot take a 3v3 versus Buriram. It's never going to be a 3v3. Shiba arrives, and what's more, even if you do get a fair 3v3, all your damage is here in the mid lane, desperately trying to hold on to the turret and failing.
Yeah, and it also looks like they're trying to hold on to the lives of the bot side, but they're failing that too, as every lane is gonna get broken. Open minion waves being escorted in, the Baron buff minions crashing in, flooding into the base. Boom Esports don't have a way to stop this. Owens is alive, but he's not gonna be alive for much longer. He jumps back in, gonna die as the Nexus falls. And once again, the second game over the BRU.
A second game to Buriram as they go 2-0 up in this series. They're having a great time. Look at that, Granton. Black smiles all around.
Yeah, we're having a great time too.
Side of BRU, and I believe if Pantheon is open again, they will most likely pick that up. Let's see though. Now we're hopping into the pick and ban phase. Will there be changes? Will they let this cinch go? Let's wait.
Alright, starting off with setup ban, and Boom Esports have identified the core issue, saying, Supporter, you're a little bit too strong on the Braum. We're gonna break open that door here, or just of course set it on a fire. And that's where Buriram United goes in, locks away the Lee Sin as well as the Olaf from Owens, as he's shown to be quite a significant jungler when he gets those turn pick. Buriram United knows that they wanted the Twisted Fate, they're not going to allow it. Arshani now gets a very comfortable pick in his favor.
Ooh, but Boom Esports will most likely answer that with an Ari, and let's say Camille, Renekton, even those two are open just to secure on the Tufts, but they're hover over this Ezreal for Owens.
Now, there's still a lot of
mobility
for the Baron lane while they immediately secure the Ezreal. Now, what exactly do they want to pair it with? There's going to be a really good poke potential coming in from Boom Esports, but it still takes a long while for the Ezreal to scale. And Buriram United, they see the Camille being opened up, the Renekton as well. Get all the strong meta champions. That's all that they want. Look at that. They're playing with... What are they showing here on screen? You go... I'm smitten already.
That was adorable. I say that was adorable. Yeah, the draft so far for BRU just screams damage, team fight. But now, am very much happy to see a Darius on Boom Esports side paired with a Xinjiao as well. Xinjiao needs to most likely say hi, hello into the Baron lane side just to help Tops from snowballing. Kinemon will be on this Lucian, so late game already secured.
Yeah, and still not that easy of a task to always go in for the Renekton. And to add pressure to the side of Boom Esports, you're looking at Buriram United going for the very first Lucian pick so far in this series. And also the pair with Nami, he's going to have a lot of good pokes and also great sustain. But he still want Boom Esports, you know, they want to set the spark and maybe just detonate the bottom lane with enough pressure coming in with those pokes. And perhaps that might just be a go-to option as well if Boom Esports wants to focus down on that bottom lane.
Boom Esports, they need a spark. But now, they locked in fire. Let's see if the fire will be enough. But hey, looking at the supports, it's fire versus water. So, technically, supporters should be able to finish off this brand. I was kidding. The Lucian and Nami combo is definitely suppressive in the early game. Ezreal as well as this brand will have to be very careful, very more tactful in the early game.
I'm excited for this one because I'm looking at the side of Boom and they've said, you know what, it's back to basics. Let's look to try and play some comfort. They're going to go for the Darius. He's 5-0 in the Darius. I mean, that surely is a lucky charm. Fly Arthur himself has shown how great he is on that Ahri, so bring that one back into the equation as well. And it's almost as if what we say has power. Imagine that. The analyst desk know what they're talking about. I love life, don't we all? Fantastic times. Forehead in the chat. That's what we do. Let's throw it back to the casters and see if this is the game where Boom Esports can bring it back.
Thanks a bunch, Skimmy. Happy to be here, and it's a great day for more esports. Really happy to see you switch over. I think you fit being a caster much better than being West Side Story, but you know what? That's not for me to say. You can do whatever you want to do in your free time. Hopefully to get to see you in the remake, though.
If we see Skimmy and he just like flicks open a knife like that,
Yeah.
I think he could really pull it off. Like I know that tweet was shown and he like kind of felt like it was derogatory, felt like it was a bit of an insult. But I'm just saying he's got a real style, you know? He's a cool cat.
You said you acted in the play. Did you have a similar role to what you envisioned Skimmy would be in?
Yeah, but I didn't pull it off. Skimmy's like a cooler version of me. I'm living vicariously through Skimmy, and I think he would be great in my high school production of West Side Story.
Well, we're gonna push that aside for now, but Skimmy, you gotta show us that one day. Make sure you go full on for that look. Looking forward to see that happen. For now, game number 3 between Boom Esports and Buriram United. And Buriram sitting 2-0. They have the lead. They're on match point. They just need one more. And it's a very special day because it's Archini's birthday. He's happy to close this one out early and celebrate his birthday a little bit.
Love that for him. Want him to go ahead and come out on top. And they've got a decent draft for it. It's one of these CC comps that we're going to see a lot of. Twisted Fate, Nami, all the way.
Let's see how they play out this crowd control composition as game number 3 is underway. One more, and Buriram United will take this series.
So, talking through it, again, you have what you're going to see a lot this tournament. The combination of Renekton, Twisted Fate, and Nami. These characters combo incredibly well with each other. Because what they ultimately want to do is you find a gold card, you hit it with the bubble, you hit it with the Renekton, engage any combination of thereof. All of those stuns are very easy to chain, and they have decent damage to follow it up between the Camille dancing past the fight to the backlines, and the Lucian doing huge damage against the front.
Yeah, interesting little moves going with the Camille in the jungle. But she was going to get spotted out early on. Nice moves by Fire there as well. To get some intel, I really like these adaptations, these very specific timing windows you have to go and pop scoring blue just to make sure you know where things are going to be. That being said though, Buriram United, they're going to change things around a little bit, bring in the Twisted Fate for themselves, and instead have Fly Arthur play for the Ahri, play for the pick comp instead of trying to go for that Yasuo.
And this does give Boom a little bit of a lane advantage in this mid lane. Ahri is kind of a pain to play into as Twisted Fate once you get past level 3. Because the Ahri can just get real close, land the charm, and full combo you. So Buriram are going to have to worry about that, and that's kind of the tone for the game. Buriram are going to need to worry about picks, individual finds that Boom can put together, because they have a ton of damage. This is a very high damage composition. Having said that, Boom don't have a ton of CC. They don't have a lot of control, which I think is going to make it kind of hard for them to team fight.
So critical for Tufts to come ahead as this Darius here. If he doesn't, like you mentioned, no crowd control and pretty difficult to lock and hold things in place. That being said, though, we do see an interesting adaptations from both sides. As the top lane, it looks like Tufts gonna go down as Buriram go on the board with the first kill.
But down bottom, there's a dive here as well. Xiaoqi burning in. Can you get revenge? Buriram will be safe behind this turret. So top kill goes over to Buriram. Nothing's found down bottom. It's a worrying sign for a composition that is entirely reliant on their damage granted. If Boom don't have enough damage in these individual characters to assassinate people, it's going to be very hard for them to win fights.
And they're going to get double punished. Even further away for finding the damage that they need, as it looks like they gave up a little bit early. I think they expected Tufts to get into
Arms
turret
too
range.
short!
Just gives it away. Unfortunately, won't be able to find a second there.
And two entire waves crashed against that top turret while Tufts was being zoned down. Nobody came up from Boom to rescue him. That's kind of heartbreaking. It's going to put Tufts very far behind in this early game. You can see he's 400 gold behind Noel.
Yeah, off a single assist, and we're starting to see some of the difference between running that Camille and the Xin Zhao. You know, Xin Zhao, he has good trading potential. That's pretty tanky. He can deal a lot of damage at the same time. At the same time, Shiba, able to rotate around the map, has so much presence across the board, and we're feeling those impact the early state of this game. For now, though, look at this item. Okay, PF sword for the Xin Zhao, I have to think. Is he going for the Guardian Angel first? I don't quite like Guardian Angel first.
GA first works if you're snowballing. If you have an advantage and you just want to press it, GA works. I'm gonna hold this thought.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna say GA works because it looks like Xiaoqi, he's gonna make it work. Take a kill for his own. Boom, Esports straight back with one.
And the GA works early because it lets you kind of not have to worry about defense. You can just keep pressing an advantage and win your aggression stats off of just your raw XP lead. But I don't know that Xiaoqi's in that kind of position right now, so I would be a little worried.
Alright, well, gonna just kite around. Not able to get too much more done here, so just gonna play it safe. Rift Herald and Dragon spawn up, and Buriram United gonna make their way towards the Rift Herald. Looks like they prioritize this a lot more. You know, there's some... Oh my goodness, Kinemon gets caught out. Hands
Okay,
in his
this is a
pocket.
decent trade. This is a decent trade for Boom. Normally, of course, I talk about how important the Rift Herald is compared to the Drake. Boom just don't want to fight right now. They're at a disadvantaged position on the map, so they're right to not challenge for the Rift Herald. They will be able to convert the one-for-one trade and get the Drake. And they're going to be able to crush that wave down bottom, so they'll probably even trade turret for turret with this Rift Herald use up top.
We'll see if they can actually get even more than one. They have to be the top side. It seems like Flying Arthur will rotate in time. Archie's in the mid lane. He's looking to make quick work with the tower as well. Okay, actually, Team Flying Arthur moving to the mid lane. So this is a window for BRU. If they want to pop the Rift out early, instead, I think they're just going to farm up and back off.
Yeah, so overall, an alright trade for Boom because they find that pick down bottom onto Kinemon. They do lose Tufts again, but Tufts is looking at a go next angle. Tufts, honestly, is just packing up his things and waiting for next game.
Oh my goodness, the fight ensues as Buriram United, they get the jump onto Boom Esports, but look at the collapse coming through. I don't think they have enough to fight this. They have to back away.
Shot.
It's a trade back as Celsi will be the one to claim the kill for Boom Esports. Flash away from Archie, back on the turret, build some space, but it's too little, too late. Boom Esports come ahead with 2.
It's a damage comp, and Buriram need to be very careful about how they fight it. There they dump all of their damage into Gub, the support, who's not doing a lot right now. He'll be scary late game, especially given how we've seen Gub is playing, but he shouldn't have been the target in that fight, and because of the way Buriram chose to take it, they burn all of their really aggressive cooldowns and just end up running for their lives, while an Ezreal dumps damage into them, while a Darius hunts for pinks, and that's going to give an even game back into Boom's hands.
Alright, and taking a look towards the Xin Zhao, I was entirely wrong. I had forgotten that BFSL builds into Starix Gauge apparently. And yeah, so that means Starix Gauge, the additional tankiness. We talked about how you can ignore the tankiness. I think that's in fact the opposite direction, making sure that you're topped up and able to soak up as much damage in these fights. I quite like this adaptations from Xin Zhao's in these games.
And it's very important because, again, they don't have a ton of CC, so you need to kind of physically tank that damage.
And towards the bottom side, they're trying to make something happen, but it seems a little bit too tight. I don't think Buriram United can force the issue. Rift Herald's still available for Shiba, so I'm curious where they're going to use that.
In the middle of the map, there's a little bit of a zoning battle going on. You're right to flag the existence of the Rift Herald. I think you probably want to dump that gold into either Archony, the birthday boy, or Kinemon. Here we go.
Okay, interesting stuff of Celsi. He finds a decent amount of damage, but when it becomes lightning tagging onto Shiba, could follow through with the audacious charge. Gov joins in, but he's flashing forward with the Pyroclasm, matched by the tidal wave. The damage is pouring through, but still too early for Gov to come entirely online. Trusha Barrage puts them so low, but BRU get away.
So Porter's tidal wave stops Gov from landing the full combo, and that's the difference between life and death there.
Beautiful moves coming through from Kinemon, kiting away from Fly Arthur. But there we go. They jump on Noel, looking for the first kill, but he barely misses out on it. Gov might get taken down, but the flash forward, the hell, Owen's going in deep, takes down Noel, and they cannot trade back here.
And again, in this fight, cost Buriram as Noel dives past the damage threat of Owens to try and chase down Gov on the TP, and Archony gold cards Gov rather than the instant threat of the Ezreal who's hurting his pet Crocodile. And all of this leads to Boom edging out another team fight in the middle of the map, as the Indonesian region roster has just picked up win after win in the fight off of their raw damage.
Changing things around, Boom Esports looking much better form going into game number 3.
We've got a Drake coming up here, 3 seconds before this Cloud Drake. And I favor Boom in the team fight. Buriram are making a very clever call, summoning this Rift Herald to force Boom to choose between their turrets and the Drake itself. They'll have to time the play well.
But Archony doesn't have his destiny for this fight, so gonna be a little bit late to respond, to rotate over to the Dragon if they have to. Shiba loses so much health in the process. Dragon's looking ever more difficult to contest for, but Boom Esports are gonna back away. They're gonna walk to the mid lane, but BRU's just gonna reset.
Yeah, Buriram kind of waste that Rift Herald there. They do get a charge, so it's some gold onto Shiba, but nobody else. And Boom, you better believe they can burn this Drake.
Yeah, going down quickly, and Shiba's just a little bit too far away, but in the meantime, Archony, Noel, they're making quick work of the barreling as well. Trying to trade back here, so no Dragon, but they say that's okay, we're gonna get the turrets instead. Supporter, he's gonna have to run for his life, gets back in the river, fish in water, and then set natural habitat, make sure they're safe.
And because of the way all of this works out, it's essentially 2 turrets for 2 Drakes, because remember that Rift Herald was the trade for the Drake earlier.
Sure.
And I think a turret for a Drake is a kind of negative trade for Buriram. They wanted a little bit more momentum out of this early game. Because the problem with playing into damage comps is they hurt, especially in the late game.
Oof, this isn't looking too good, but Hex Ultimatum, beautiful moves to get over the wall as they take down Gov. He actually goes golden to survive and buy a little bit more time. Culling comes through, but it's a Culling in a retreat. They have to back off because right there, Xiaoji jumps on the charm, lands on the supporter, but it's Noel pulling the trigger, pops the Dominus, step back into the front line, looking to take them down. Great slice, great call of the Meek to get a double kill. But Tubbs is coming online now with enough crowd control. The Darius is held in place and sent back to base. They cannot hold off against Buriram though, as the gold card comes through, finding the distance. A beautiful flash forward, the hook shot with a tactical sweep, and Archony comes in as well with the blue card to confirm the team ace.
Excellently played by Buriram. They recognize that they're heading towards a late game where Boom Esports might outdamage them, so they win the team fight off of crowd control, off of chain CC, forcing an overextension, forcing an early stasis from Boom Esports, and consistently managing to have a functional player advantage in the fight due to their focused fire, due to their stuns, due to the stasises they're forcing. It all starts here as Shiba is out of position, but he lands Hextech Ultimatum onto Gov, lines that up with the Tidal Wave, and you go, okay, well, we can just drop the culling on Gov, spend it over with this gold card. This is right now a 4v2 functionally in this fight. Now it's a 4v3, and Noel dives into the backline, instantly finds a double kill because those players are low, and from this point forward, Buriram have a player advantage.
And we had so many questions on where Boom
Wow.
Esports kind of fell into place, asking ourselves, taking down Divine Esports in a very interesting fashion, how they were able to perform this competition. And going into this one, it looks like BRU really are looking like the top seed out from Bracket A. Boom Esports, though, are holding on very well. They're showing us great tenacity. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about Tufts, who's taken down next. He's the next target of focus. They're moving on to Noel, though. He goes golden and gets away from the chop, but he's in between 3, and the turret will eventually go down.
It's traded though, middle of the map pressure gets shoved all the way up past the tier 2, and this is going to mean that Buriram can start this Baron, and they will kill it very quickly with the Lucian. It needs to be interrupted. Here comes Boom for the game.
They're trying to contest for this Baron. This is the all-important one. If things go the way of Boom Esports, they might have a chance, but instead, BRU will pick up the first dragon moving into match point.
So, Baron in the hands of Buriram. This is the game, and by that I mean Buriram have a window here with the Baron where their shove is more impactful, much more impactful than the amount of damage Boom can pump out. That's not going to last forever. So they kind of need to win on this shove, and they certainly need to get enough damage here that Boom can't threaten for this upcoming Drake.
Playing into a much smaller window. I think this is a point where BRU do have a couple of big item spikes, though. So that's definitely going to help their case.
This is a good win time.
Definitely helps their
This
case.
this is where Buriram are like strongest this entire game. From here, it's only going to get harder, so they must shove in these waves now.
Yeah, things are looking a little bit dicey for Boom Esports. I mean, we see the Dragon coming online, but I don't even think that's in the sight of BRU. They've given up that bomb side. The map says, yeah, we only really have to play for the Baron, the Rift Herald. Make sure that we're scaling up and getting strong, and we're making Boom Esports deal with our threats instead of this.
But they're not finding any turret damage really yet. That's worrying.
Very strong very strong wave clear from Boom Esports, zoning them off, and feels like the addition of this Darius has helped them out a lot. Unfortunately, things aren't looking so great in the other lanes. Bomb side being broken open by Shiba, who might go down in all honesty. They're looking a little bit low. Has to kind of get away. Flash away from Archini. In fact, by over the mid lane. There we go. They're trying to commit onto the mid lane. Nice tidal wave on the floor. Finds great amount of damage. Unfortunately, the Crescent Guard is going to block them. Stop the engage. Stop the siege. Stop BRU in their tracks.
A beautiful tidal wave from supporter saves Buriram, and then Boom are equally saved by the Crescent Guard from Xiaoqi. Now for the Drake, Buriram are going to take it, and that removes some of the value that Boom could have gotten from an Elder, but that is still a win condition. So to take stock of this game, Buriram did crack an inhibitor. They have that mid inhibitor, incredibly vulnerable. It can just be stepped up and broken at any time, and that might be enough for Buriram to finish it. They're going to need a major objective to do so, though, or a one-team fight around a major objective. So watch this posturing as we head towards the next Baron, as we head towards the next Elder. Buriram either force a 5v5 and win it here, or they're gonna be in trouble as Boom continue to get stronger and stronger. This could get very dicey headed into the late game.
Yeah, BRU, they're stacking on the pressure for sure, and Boom Esports, we're looking to see how much weight they can hold on to. This is late day for Boom Esports. They're trying to do the best that they can to make sure that they give a good series over the BRU. Fortunately, or fortunately, if you depending which side you're rooting for, BRU is looking to find the straw that'll break the camel's back over by the side. Noel is down towards the bottom lane. He's looking to take down Tufts here, and even with all the power that Darius brings and the force to the table, won't be able to hold on. They're moving on to the Nexus. Now it's been broken open. All 3 turrets gone. The inhibitors down and all onto the Nexus, but they don't quite have enough to take them off and push them off the Nexus. Boom Esports with a great defense, taking down one, finding a potential second, force them, route them up to the top side, still trying to hold on for dear life. Archini trying to make a captain's play, will get shoved off. Boom will live to see another fight.
They'll live to see another fight, and there's the demonstration of that team fight value I was talking about, the damage on hand for Boom Esports. But it probably is too little too late, because you have all 3 inhibitors broken, super minions pouring out of the Buriram base. And what do you do if you're Boom Esports? How can you possibly contest a Baron? If a Baron is picked up here by Buriram, they just need to walk into the base and let the super minions do the work. Boom won't be able to stop that.
And it's been a great showing, honestly, through and through from Buriram United, showing their macro, being able to execute so well. moving into this game, really liking what we've been seeing. Boom Esports have brought out a couple of interesting ideas and interesting picks. South Sea has been a very bit of a wildcard kind of player. Brought a lot of information and new ideas here. Up in the top side, Noel, he's going to be waiting. He's waiting for this catch. He's jumping back onto Noel. Trog Owens, in fact, looking to take him down right away. And sent the Renekton. He's putting down low. Going to get chunked out. Taken down. Sent back to base. It's now 4 versus 4. You sent Owen away. Sent Flying Arthur out of commission. Not able to join back into despite his guff. Going golden to survive and buy time. Unfortunately, falls as well. Celsi will be the next to go. And Boom Esports have lost all their critical members. Buriram moving into the base. And that should be it. Buriram United find a 3-0 sweep over Boom Esports.
Happy birthday, Archery! Buriram will blast through the upper bracket, taking down Boom. Any questions we had about Buriram's viability?